And in verse 11 of chapter 6, Krishna says the yogi should have a firm, clean seat, neither too high nor too low. He should cover his seat first with kusha grass, then cover that with a deer or tiger skin, and then place upon that a wool and or a silk cloth. The instructions are fairly simple. The why of them may be something to discuss further. I remember I met somebody from ISKCON in Los Angeles, and they were singing Mahamantra, and so I was very happy to join them. It was on the street at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, a very public area. And so I joined them, and then when they'd finished chanting, I greeted them, and they greeted me, and they said, "What are you here for?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to give yoga classes." And they said, "Indeed. Do you know that that the yogi is told in the Bhagavad Gita to use kusha grass? Is there any kusha grass in America? No. Therefore, how can you practice yoga in America?" It was such a ridiculous argument that I just namaskared and left him. But this kind of sectarianism is a curse in religion. We have to get rid of it. Anyway, back to this point. Why kusha grass? Well, kusha grass, you interweave it, and it helps to protect against the dampness in the soil. And then the tiger skin or deer skin, these are also protection, and they have their own particular influence. Deer skin, for example, gives an influence of peace. And the tiger skin is more for those who practice sexual control, but it helps to give you a vigorous will in your meditation. And the silk cloth, finally, is a protection to help you raise the energy. Some swamis wear silk because they say that it protects against other energies, magnetic energies in the world around them. So these all have their purpose. We must think about the broader aspect of this, however. If you live in a home, try to have one room set aside just for meditation. The vibrations that you develop in your meditation room will help you very much over a period of time, so that as soon as you enter there, you begin to feel the peace of it. The vibrations of different areas definitely influence you, or at least you can feel them. For example, a dining room is where people eat. And so if they always eat in that dining room, they'll be more hungry and ready for food. It's a good thing to understand. For instance, a bedroom helps you to sleep, partly because the vibrations are there. In your meditation room, I remember I had a sort of hole in the room that I was in at Mount Washington, and that hole used to, the door, there was no door, the opening led to some steps that went downstairs. That was where the motor was housed to bring cable cars up from below the hill. And so I managed to build a door to cover that hole. And then I fixed up the room down there very carefully and put a big screen so as to keep the rats out from underneath the adjoining garage and different things. And then I would meditate there. Well, it was an amazing thing that after a few months, really I had only to go down there to feel peaceful. So it's a really helpful thing to have a place where you only meditate. I never would let people talk there, and that's a part of this scene here. Krishna speaks about it in terms of being in a solitary place. Well, in your own home, you can create that solitary place. Now, the kusha grass, there's another aspect to this, that the kusha grass, the skin, and the silk also have a symbolic meaning. The kusha grass stands for the Muladhara, the lowest chakra of earth, and grass is grown on the earth. And the skin is a covering for flesh and blood, so it represents the water element, the Sadhisthana or sacral center, which is the next center up. And silk is something that you use to create static electricity. And so silk is the fire element in the Manipur. And if you have to, in meditation, try to raise your energy up from that and keep it all in the upper 3 chakras of the spine. All these are very sort of esoteric things, and we don't really need to get into it deeply. Sitting in the lotus pose is fine if you're young, but what if you're old? I couldn't begin to get into it myself. Of course, I'm a Westerner and I'm accustomed to sitting in chairs. But you must sort of take into account, what is this all about? You have to learn to, Patanjali is Ashtanga Yoga begins with Yam, Niyama, Asana. Asana has been taken as the beginning point for creating the whole system of Hatha Yoga. But all that Patanjali really meant was to be able to sit in one place with a still body and a straight spine so that you can forget your body. You won't be able to forget your body if you're always moving around. So if you can have your spine straight, that will enable you to relax the energy and bring it up the spine. If you sit firm and don't move, you can say that you have accomplished asana when you are able to sit for 3 hours without moving, or even 1 hour without moving. And many people, when they meditate, they fidget around. They must learn that asana is essential for meditation. You can't get beyond consciousness, body consciousness, as long as your body is not fixed and firm. So asana is very important. Then when you sit there, it would help you to have a meditation room where you only meditate, and that means don't do any talking there. I'm just reminded, jokingly, but there's a story in Bengal that I read of this man who was calling out because he heard some sound in the chat of the meditation room, the little chapel, and he said, "Thakur Gore Ke," who was in the chapel, and the little voice inside said, "Amito khela khai nahi." I didn't eat the bananas. Well, of course, the bananas are offered as an offering to the altar. Well, anyway, we have to have a place where people don't fidget around, and that child should not have been in that meditation room. Anyway, to get back to this point, it would help you, any position you have. You can sit in a chair. If you have a chair, don't make it an armchair. Have it a straight back chair. Don't lean back against the back of the chair unless you're tired. But really, to sit upright, you should sit away from the back of the chair and it would help you to have your hands on the thighs with the hands turned palms upward. These are all physical things to prepare you so that you can, the only purpose of it, there's nothing ritualistic about it, the only purpose of it is to put you in a receptive mind and to help you to rise above body consciousness. Having the hands turned palms upright puts you in a receptive state to whatever grace. It's a gesture of the body that associates with certain states of mind. If you have your hands turned downward, there's a sense of rejecting what has come to you. These are things that some subconscious influence. Mind you, they are not essential. Kusha grass is not essential. Deerskin or tiger skin is not essential. Silk is a help, but not essential. But one thing is good about these things is that they help to insulate your energy in the body from certain energies in the earth that pull the energy downward, the bodily energy downward, so that you can use a perfectly good substitute would be a woolen blanket. And if you sit in a chair, then have the blanket come from the floor, beneath the feet, beneath the body, and up over the back of the chair. This is perfectly good. If you want to put a silk blanket over that, fine. But these are superficial and don't worry very much about it. Still, my guru did recommend it, and so I must recommend it too. Another thing my guru said, Krishna doesn't mention here, is face east. Now, why east? It's a very interesting thing that knowledge, civilization, comes from the east westward. There's a certain movement of energy in the earth going from the east. This is why an interesting thing in the Bible is the birth of Christ. The wise men from the east, they came from the east. That wisdom comes from the east. Another thing that's interesting in that story is that they followed the star eastward, westward, but they were saying it's a star in the east. This is a little hint that it wasn't a star up there. Many people talk about the comet that must have been at that time, and therefore what comet was there, what heavenly body could have created such an effect that the wise men would be following it. And so people have tried to affix the date of Christ's birth according to that. Well, that's not really true because it's actually a symbol. What they're doing, you see, in the body, there are certain directions. When you have your head here, when you have your concentration here, this is the east of the body. The west is the back. The south is the lower part of the body. The north is the upper part of the body. So the eastern star meant the star in the spiritual eye. And the spiritual eye it's just not a belief. I've met people who, when they first heard about it, they said, "Oh, that's what I've always been seeing." I know in Italy, in Assisi, we wanted an image of the spiritual eye to put over the altar in our temple there. And we went to Murano, where they do stained glass and delicate glass works and so on. And we asked this man who owned some business there to make it for us. And when we told him, he got all excited. He said, "I've been seeing that all my life and I didn't know what it was." You see, it's not a belief, it's something, it is really a reflection of the energy coming into the body through the spiritual eye. And does everybody see it when you get calm enough? Yes. And in deep meditation, you will see, so first of all, sort of like an island in the darkness there. And then gradually this ring comes around it. And the golden ring then opens up as you go into the spiritual eye. And you see within the spiritual eye a deep blue, reminiscent, that is the sign of Christ consciousness. Now in the middle of that is a star. And interestingly enough, that star has 5 points. And when it is said in the Bible that man is made in the image of God, it doesn't mean that God looks like man. It means that man looks like God. You see, if you stand with your arms outstretched and your legs outstretched, you see that you become a 5-pointed star. These are very esoteric things, but it's true all over the world. People think that God must therefore be an old man with a long white beard. That isn't the case. We are in his image, not because of our bodies, but because of our souls. And the epitome of the soul awakening is the spiritual eye, and going through that star is going into cosmic consciousness. So what the symbol of this story means is that Jesus came down from that star. We have seen his star in the east. What they are really doing is recognizing that an avatar has been born. And Jesus came as an avatar, as a divine incarnation, an incarnation of one who had attained complete moksha. And it was a corroboration for those who understand these things that Jesus was from the highest heights. He was not just an ordinary saint. So these are very important things also to know, because they show the unity of all religions. All religions are one. Sanatana Dharma is the only religion in the universe. Whether it's called Christianity or Buddhism, Sanatana Dharma means that everything has come from God and everything must merge back into God. So if you have your own meditation room, you have a chair, a woolen blanket over you, sit in the right posture, all these things are very good. To help you get calm, very good practice is to equalize, because there are many parts of your body that are tense, but you're not aware of the tension. So if you inhale, tense the whole body, throw the breath out, and throw out all tension in the body. Do that 2 or 3 times, and your body will be suitably prepared for meditation then. And remember, from then on, make it a point not to move. Hold your body rigidly still. At first it'll be agonizing because the body is used to moving. But when you can get beyond that, you'll suddenly find you don't feel like moving. And in time you'll find gradually that you don't even know what is up or down. You're just in space. Facing east is helpful, as I said, because these rays go in that direction. So if you sleep with your head to the east, that too is a way of helping you to acquire wisdom. The facing west will help you to have more dreams if you sleep that way, having the head toward the west. Head toward the south it helps to induce longevity. Head toward the north helps you, if your body is in such a state, it can help to induce even death. And so many times yogis will face north to leave their bodies. These are helps, they're not essential. But every little bit of help, when you've got such a difficult path before you as finding God, you might as well take every little help you can. Many people will make them their central issues. Understand they're secondary issues. Nonetheless, add many secondary issues together and you've got quite a big help. So follow these teachings as much as you can for your own enlightenment. Joy to you.